Well, thanks for staying with us here on THV 11 Plus. For Arkansas News Now, I'm Tamara Knight alongside meteorologist Nathan Scott. And Nathan, we could expect some showers today, but tomorrow night is supposed to get a little crazy.
Yeah, looking at new information, Tamer, we've gone ahead and issued a weather impact alert for tomorrow night just because the latest from the Storm Prediction Center has upped the chance of severe weather. I'm going to show you that in just one second. But right now, we got some clouds out there, some breaks of sun as well. Few showers will be dotting the landscape, but no severe weather expected out there today. Over to graphics now. Here we go. We have a level 3 out of 5 for Northwest Arkansas. This is for late tomorrow, really into Friday night, early Saturday morning. We're expecting storms to bubble up in that part of the country, Oklahoma, west and northwest Arkansas, and then that threat diminishes as you get closer to central Arkansas, but we're still under a level 2 or level 1. So Friday night, weather impact alert, time frame pretty much all night long. Strong to severe thunderstorms will be possible. This is one of those nights that you have to have several ways of waking you up because it's a nighttime event, and there could be tornado warnings issued through the overnight hours. Of course, we'll have you covered here on THV 11. Right now, radar, it's pretty quiet in central Arkansas, just a few isolated showers roaming through the River Valley and also right around Prairie County, parts of White County. So we'll hang on to the chance there could be an isolated shower, maybe a rumble of thunder out there as future radar does show that potential even as we go through the evening. 75 is the number in Little Rock. Meanwhile, it's 80 in Pine Bluff. I'll have more on the threats of what we could see from those severe storms for tomorrow night coming up.
Thank you, Nathan. A murder charge against the frontrunner in the Lonoke County Sheriff's race is raising new questions ahead of November. Aaron Spencer killed the man accused of raping his daughter after that suspect was released on bond and allegedly tried to take her again. Spencer is now running for sheriff, and his primary win has uncertainty to the race. THV 11's Carter 3 looks at what could happen next.
I just want to thank everyone that came out and voted.
Brent Cannon won his primary for Lonoke County Justice of the Peace Tuesday night, but that's not the race making headlines.
It was way more activity than we've had in the past. I believe this is my 7th election cycle, and this was by far the toughest.
The reason for all that attention and activity is a sheriff's race that's making national news. It became even more complicated when the county clerk resigned just a week before the elections, forcing the Courtroom court to appoint Eddie Joe Williams just 4 days before the election.
We had help. State came in. They were so gracious to, if we had questions, they knew I was new on the job. So they came in and gave us a hand.
But now things could get even more interesting. Spencer won with over 50% of the vote, but if he ends up being convicted of second-degree murder, he can't serve as sheriff. If he wins in November, takes office, and then gets convicted, it's pretty simple.
If he is convicted and has to be removed from office after the general election, the Courtroom court would then appoint his replacement to fill the rest of that term.
And it's equally simple if he's not guilty. He can become sheriff like anyone else. The tricky part comes if Spencer is convicted between now and the November election as the Republican nominee. State guidelines say a party can replace their candidate if they withdraw or pass away, but don't mention anything about felony convictions.
It's all uncharted water, especially for Lonoke County.
There's a lot of research that needs to be done to figure out the legalities and if the Republican Party would have a representative in the general election.
Now we asked the chair of the Lonoke County Republican Party what happens if there is a vacancy. She said state party rules calls for a special convention of delegates to choose a nominee. However, she also made it clear after Tuesday's vote, Spencer is the nominee, and right now the party has no plans to change that. And a historic first in Pulaski County awaits in a few months after Tuesday night's election results. Bobby Forrest Jr. toppled Will Jones in the race to be the prosecuting attorney at Metro Little Rock and Perry County. He will be the county's first black prosecutor, and Forrest ran a campaign that focused on his experience as both a former cop turned defense attorney. He says he's looking forward to stepping into this role January 1st and isn't taking the county's first black prosecutor lightly.
This shows how long or how far we've gotten in our country and in our state, and so but it's bigger than just being the first elected black prosecutor. We built a very diverse coalition behind us. And that's exactly what I want to do when we get to the office, making sure that the office is diverse and it looks like the people that we serve in our community.
Forrest received almost 32,000 votes, beating Jones, who took office 4 years ago, by 6 percentage points. And the majority of Tuesday's election results will formally take shape in November or even January of next year. But 2 special elections will affect the upcoming fiscal session happening in a few weeks. Ahead of the session, Governor Sanders is rolling out her proposed budget to lawmakers now. It includes an average 3% spending increase over this year, nearly $200 million more for education freedom accounts created under the LEARNS Act, and more than $50 million in raises for correction officers and state troopers. You can see her full cover letter showing additional priorities right now on THV11.com. And for many Americans stuck in the Middle East, getting home is a major concern. We have the story of one man who's stranded in Qatar on his way home from a vacation. It's one of at least a dozen countries facing Iran's counterstrikes, including new attacks overnight. CBS News correspondent Imaz Tayeb spoke to the American caught in the middle.
For social media influencer Oliver Sims, it was the vacation of his dreams.
This is crazy.
A friend's wedding in India, where he had the time of his life. But on his way home to Dallas, in the 2-hour layover in the Qatari capital Doha, this happened.
I am in the Doha airport, and I'm stuck here.
After the U.S. and Israel launched its war on Iran, and airspace across the Gulf was closed. We met the 24-year-old at the Doha seafront.
It's been really scary because, there have been a few times when I've heard these extremely loud explosions.
Qatar has faced some of the most intense Iranian strikes on the Gulf. Its Hamad International Airport is one of the world's top 10 busiest for global travel. This morning, all flights remain canceled.
Have you been in touch with the State Department?
I have, yes, but it's just kind of all over the place.
Are you angry at anyone?
I'm not angry. I am definitely just disappointed, just in the way that it has been handled and the way that U.S. citizens here are being taken care of or lack of.
And in the last few hours, more explosions could be heard here in the skies above Doha as Qatari forces continue to intercept incoming Iranian fire. Now, the intensified strikes come as Americans living in the compound that houses the U.S. Embassy here had to be evacuated to nearby hotels, while thousands more Americans, including Oliver, remain stranded. Imtiaz Taib, CBS News, Doha, Qatar.
A North Carolina U.S. Marine is facing charges after disrupting a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing Wednesday to protest the war in Iran. Cell phone video shows 44-year-old veteran Brian McGinnis, a Green Party Senate candidate, shouting, "No one wants to fight for Israel," as officers pulled him out. His campaign website identifies him as a Marine veteran. Capitol Police says McGinnis and 3 officers were injured. He now faces charges of assault on a police officer and resisting arrest. Protests are not allowed inside congressional buildings. And coming up, inside one Atlanta courtroom, there's an unlikely helper bringing calm during some of the life's most stressful moments. Meet the rescue dogs making a difference for people facing a judge when we return. Artifacts spanning years of Arkansas history are now on full display at the Old State House Museum. The new exhibit highlights Arkansas's role on the national stage as the country marks 250 years since its founding. Curators from several agencies worked to bring the showcase together, giving visitors a chance to revisit some of the state's most pivotal moments.
We do it through the lens of the nicknames of Arkansas. So we had the Bear State, the Toothpick State, Regnant Populace, the Land of Opportunity, the Wonder State, and now the Natural State.
The exhibit will be on display until mid-December. You can witness Before Us, Beyond Us on weekdays at the Old State House Museum. And Conway Regional is opening a new simulation lab to train future healthcare workers in Central Arkansas. The lab is located at Conway Regional Medical Center on College Avenue. Earlier this morning, Conway Regional leaders and Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders spoke at the grand opening. After that, the hospital gave us an inside look at the new training facility, and we plan to show you that later today on THV 11. And in Maumelle, voters showed some strong support for bond initiatives to fund major projects there, like road improvements, a police and fire training facility, and more. City officials say the next step includes finalizing those election results and beginning planning and implementation on the projects.
Good afternoon, Central Arkansas meteorologist Nathan Scott. I told you at the top of the show we have to watch out for the potential of strong to severe thunderstorms. More on that in just 1 second. But along with that chance, we also have maybe some heavy rainfall that could lead to some flash flooding concerns. And here's the latest on that. This is once again for Friday night into Saturday, looking at the Ouachitas, parts of the Ozarks, West Arkansas, Southwest Arkansas, with a slight risk that there could be some flooding problems for those low-lying areas, poor drainage areas, and also smaller creeks and streams. Now, for the severe weather risk. This is the highest risk that we have seen so far this year, and it's been quite some time since we've seen a level 3 out of 5. So that's your highest risk located Fort Smith, Harrison, also into Clarksville, Johnson County, and Mena. And then it starts to drop off somewhat, but still a level 2 out of 5 for Clinton into Mountain View, also a large part of Little Rock Metro, Hot Springs, Arkadelphia, and drops down to a level 1 out of 5 or a marginal risk once you get east of Little Rock. So this tells the story that the storms will initiate here. They will start to weaken as they make their way into Central Arkansas, but they could still pack a punch. What kind of punch are we talking about? Here are the main threats. Any storm that reaches its maximum potential could produce damaging wind gusts, large hail, and even a tornado. But I got to point out these areas that are dashed, and that's a key factor because the Storm Prediction Center says in these areas that you see the dash marks, storms may be able to produce a hailstone up to 2 inches in diameter. And then we also have the potential there could be a strong tornado. That's concerning to me because this is an overnight situation. So make sure you have several ways of waking you up just in case a tornado warning is issued for tomorrow night before you head to bed. Then for Saturday, the risk drops down to a level 1 out of 5, but it's still there. And I think the primary threat will be damaging winds and maybe some hail. Here's future radar for the rest of your Thursday. We'll see mostly cloudy to partly sunny skies. Chance of some scattered light rain, maybe a rumble of thunder mixed in. Best chance will be into northern sections of the state. But even here in Central Arkansas, this model does show the opportunity. There could be isolated shower or thunderstorm out there this evening. We're dry tonight, and then going into Friday, a large part of the daytime, it's quiet. Starting off the day with clouds, more sunshine for the afternoon. The numbers warm up into the upper 70s to lower 80s, also on the breezy side. And then as early as maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, could start to see some storms start to initiate in parts of West Arkansas, but it's really going to be this area, right along the border of Oklahoma into Arkansas. We'll be watching out for storms to initiate. Those storms will become strong, possibly severe. And as those storms really develop, that's going to be your highest chance that they could produce a tornado. If they congeal into a line and storm mode goes from supercells more to a linear mode, then that chance of a tornado drops off. Not entirely, but it will be lower versus what supercells can produce. This is 1:30 Saturday morning, so we'll be here probably all night long watching these storms make their way from Oklahoma into Arkansas. And there you see the potential of heavy rain to start off your Saturday. extends all the way back out into northwest Arkansas. So the beginning of Saturday is going to be wet. We may see some dry time late morning through the early afternoon hours before potentially another round of showers and thunderstorms moves in here for the late afternoon, evening hours from the southwest. Sunday, primarily dry, best chance of rain will be situated into, I think, southern parts of Arkansas. And then looking ahead next week, got to show you this because we have a slight risk of severe weather for Tuesday night into potentially Wednesday morning. After that, I think the weather pattern will start to calm down a little bit. 62 tonight, variably cloudy, warm and humid, breezy and warm on your Friday. Once again, most of the day, there's no severe weather concerns. But then going into Friday evening, Friday night, that's when things could turn ugly. Of course, we'll keep you updated here on THV 11+. That weather impact alert goes into effect for tomorrow night. And then don't forget, daylight saving time begins on Sunday. Temperatures staying into the 70s and 80s, and we'll have to watch out for that next round of storms potentially Tuesday night into Wednesday.
Well, thank you, Nathan. A two-time spelling bee champ wants to help other students reach their spelling goals. The high school student is hosting workshops in California, offering a free resource to younger students. Melissa Messia has the details.
He's a little older and a little taller. Mahir Konkapaka is now a 10th grader at Westview High School. But looking back, making it to the Scripps National Spelling Bee in 2022 and 2023 was fun, exciting, but also a little scary.
It's really nerve-wracking. It is kind of intimidating because it's like your fate is right in front of you.
The high schooler now is giving back to help other kids with their spelling, GOALS.
I think my favorite thing about participating in the bee is, I think, learning the words and understanding the meanings behind them.
You can't memorize every single word.
Mahir holds free workshops for kids and parents interested in the spelling bee.
Back when I was in that middle school, there really was no local resources for the spelling bee. You're given the word list for regionals and that's it. You're kind of left in the dark about what to do.
Mahir worked hard to reach the national bee. He eventually had a spelling tutor who helped him, but admits it was pricey.
Having help shouldn't be gatekept by some sort of monetary barrier. And so having free workshops like this is, in my opinion, really important into making sure that we're able to do well, as San Diego, to be a kind of more competitive region.
He recently expanded his reach. Earlier this year, Mahir partnered with the county to hold a workshop at the Office of Education building. He advises not just to memorize the words.
I think getting the words in your vocabulary, understanding where words come from, root words, will help you decipher the meaning of words that you come across in the future.
As far as what he wants to do in the future, Mahir doesn't know yet. He's interested in math, science, and of course linguistics, but whatever he does, you can thank the spelling bee for playing a role in guiding his future.
It doesn't really matter if you win or lose doing the spelling bee, because the skills that you gain by simply preparing is enough. You win by getting the studying and the experience of, learning the words and learning everything.
In Atlanta, there's a presence with a wagging tail that brings a sense of calm to the courtroom. Meet Ice. She's a pit bull mix who sits beside defendants inside the Fulton County Behavioral Health Court on a daily basis. Ice is a rescue who was once abused and even shot. Her path to the courtroom was uncertain at first, but now Ice helps calm people's anxiety while facing a judge. Superior County Court Judge Emily Richardson said she fell for the pooch last year at a K-9 cellmate graduation. In a matter of weeks, the judge adopted her. Now in a loving home, Ice is helping many in court find strength.
Last night brought us the final home game of the regular season for Arkansas men's basketball. Some great highlights of the game itself and some great highlights of halftime that you won't want to miss next in sports. Well, so many of our local college basketball teams playing conference tournaments this week. In the SEC, at least on the men's side, that's not till next week. Arkansas, 2 more games in the regular season going into last night's regular season home finale at Bud Walton Arena, and that's where we sent Nick Luttrell.
Well, Tyler, just a few days ago, the Razorbacks were on the wrong end of an ugly blowout loss at Florida. Tonight, they were on the right end of one, taking down Texas at home, 105-85, a 20-point win, highlighted by a 28-point performance from the senior Trevin Brazil in his final game at Bud Walton Arena. A career day, a career performance for one last ride for TV7.
And here's a 6'10 kid that blocks shots, can guard different positions, will go rebound, can make shots, makes free throws. I mean, how many guys hit with his athleticism at 6'10 can do that? But I think he's gotten better, and he's another one that I've enjoyed coaching.
It's a good feeling, to kind of go out with a bang, even though the season's not over, we got a lot of season left. A lot of goals we want to accomplish, but, it felt good, to have a good last game.
And with the win, the Razorbacks have now clinched a double bye in next week's SEC tournament. That means they will play Friday. They will either be the 2 or the 3 seed in Nashville. Reporting from Bud Walton Arena, I'm Nick Luttrell, THV 11 Sports.
Thank you, Nick. Big win last night for the current iteration of Razorback men's basketball, but also for honoring the past. That was at halftime of the Texas game. Hunter Yurachek telling the legendary Nolan Richardson that Arkansas plans to build a statue of the coach. There's a rendering the Razorbacks released of what that statue may look like. They plan to get started on construction this summer, to which we all say, at last. All right, so plenty of fun to come ahead in the immediate future. How about Oaklawn today? 9 races if you're heading out to the track. Make sure you keep an eye on the weather as well. Those doors open in a couple hours at 11 a.m. First post set for 12:30.
A lucky Arkansan is celebrating a huge Powerball win after ordering a $250.8 million ticket through the Jackpocket app. The winning numbers for Monday night were 2, 17, 18, 38, 62, and the Powerball 20. This was only the winner's second time using the app, and no word just yet on their identity, but in Arkansas, you can stay anonymous for up to 3 years after winning. I would definitely vote to stay anonymous.
The second time. That's wild.
Anonymous, $250.8 million. I mean,
yeah. Well, speaking of wild, we've got the potential of some wild weather moving in here for tomorrow night. We have that weather impact alert in effect tomorrow night. Tomorrow during the day, it's fairly quiet, small chance of isolated showers, but storms out there tomorrow night could be capable of producing hail, damaging winds, maybe even a tornado or two, especially in West Arkansas.
Thank you at home for watching us here on Arkansas News Now. Be sure to join us back at 4 with Brooke and Roby.